Hey, I'll see you on tour in Las Vegas, Chicago, and Grand Rapids. In Chicago, it's stand-up and a live panel show. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and make sure you go to jimmydore.com. So the head of the Secret Service, this lady Cheatle, I mean, she's got the word cheat right in her name. So she had to go in front of Congress today. And I don't know if you saw some of it, but most of it went like this. Here's Representative Nancy Mace, and here's what she has to say to her.
I would have to get back to you.
That is a no.
Ready? You got to turn it up.
I would have to get back to you.
That is a no. You're full of shit today. You're just being completely dishonest. Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I object. Everyone in this room is full of shit. Not just the Secret Service lady. You are full. She said, let's hear it again.
Yeah. I would have to get back to you.
That is a no. You're full of shit today. You're just being completely dishonest.
Just today? How dare you, madam? She's been full of shit from the day she got that job. Anyway, she's proud of being full of shit. Let's just be honest. Let's go. So now she really gets it stuck to her. This guy, I'm going to try and let this play out without stopping it.
Good luck.
This is about 3 minutes long. Watch this.
London from Texas. How did a 20-year-old loner with a week's notice pick the absolute best location to assassinate President Trump when the entire Secret Service missed it?
Well, I've got to stop it. How did a 20-year-old do that? Well, the same way we miss everything, on purpose, under strict orders from the deep state. That's how they missed it. Okay? Okay.
London from Texas. How did a 20-year-old loner with a week's notice pick the absolute best location to assassinate President Trump when the entire Secret Service missed it?
I'm going to guess. I'm going to stop it again. I'm going to guess maybe because the non-trained Secret Service agents that were fumbling around Donald Trump are personal friends of hers from the beginning. From maybe they're friends of hers from her beginner's yoga class, because that's what it seemed like. Okay, here we go. Start again.
From Texas. How did a 20-year-old loner with a week's notice pick the absolute best location to assassinate President Trump when the entire Secret Service missed it? Director Cheatle, in your leadership, your agency got outsmarted and outmaneuvered by a 20-year-old. How can we have any confidence that you could stop trained professionals from a nefarious nation state?
Those are absolutely questions that we need to have.
I know the questions, but
I like how she. Those are absolutely questions. What is she writing a speech for Kamala Harris now? Those are absolutely questions. These are questions that require answers to the questions that continue to be asked that we must also continue to answer. Those are absolutely. Here we go.
The fact of the matter is we can't have that confidence. Director, do you have the ability personally, do you have the authority to beef up security of any of your protectees?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So were you also aware there was a credible threat President Trump was facing? He was facing a heightened security threat to a foreign adversary?
Yes.
Okay. So given that there was an...
Okay, he's bringing up... I got to just point of contention, Congressman. Hi, this is Jimmy Dore from the Jimmy Dore Show. There was a credible threat, but not from a foreign adversary like you guys are trying to pretend, because the Iran story is crap. Thank you. I yield back the rest of my time. Okay.
Increased threat to President Trump's life. Was he provided a full security complement akin to what a sitting U.S. president would receive?
He was provided a full complement of security based on the threat assessment that we had.
That's not my question.
And the venue.
My question is, if he'd been the sitting president, would he have had the same security he had on July 13th, or would have been beefed up?
There is a difference between the sitting president.
So your answer is he did.
And continuity of government and the responsibility.
So he did not. Okay.
Whoa. I don't know if you heard it. She's talked about the continuity of government, which I'm going to cover in another video.
Wow.
She started to talk about the continuity of government, which when that came up at the Iran-Contra hearings in the late 80s, they shut down the hearing because you're not supposed to talk about the continuity of government. That's the whole hearing should be about the continuity of government, but you can't talk about that because that is key to the whole deep state. But we will talk about it. Okay.
There wasn't a CAT team, full CAT team on site. There wasn't counter surveillance teams on site. But this is the thing. You just said you had the ability to beef up the security. You knew about the threat, and you didn't. And that's as telling as it is chilling. We have satellite images from the Butler Fairgrounds. Have you visited the site?
No, I have not.
9 days. And
she hasn't visited the site. 9 days since the former president got shot in the head.
Not visited the site. You should have been there that night. Did you talk to, that evening, did you talk to the team, the heroes that surrounded the president? Did you call them that night?
They were still operational work.
So that's an answer is no. Did you call them the next day?
President. Yes, I spoke with
You called them the very next day, not the day of. Or was it 72 hours after?
I don't know the timeline, but I spoke with
Okay,
them
because you're under oath.
immediately
I think it was
following.
72 hours after you waited 3 days. What is immediately clear is that there are a number of structures that need to be secured. Of these, Director, other than the first, immediate 4, what's the most dangerous site that should have been secured? Because security 101, you got to mitigate the high ground.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what the next most dangerous site? What was the closest structure to the president, other than the 4 immediate ones that you had your counter sniper teams on?
There are a number of structures around that event site.
You know who the shooter knew? The shooter has visited the site 2 more times than you have, and he had a drone, and he picked the AGR building. So you said, do you remember in an ABC interview you did that you didn't have people on the roof of the AGR building because you were worried about safety because of the slope?
I recall that statement.
Okay. Does the Secret Service have written policy you can share with us about slope roofs?
No.
No.
So why'd you act like there was one? Because is it your practice to comment on enormous events of enormous national implications when you're ignorant of the facts? That's rhetorical. So here's the thing with the slopes. You go all up to like 1812. You can go to a 112, which is about as flat as you can get without it being completely flat. And you're saying that there was a danger, safety concern there. But the problem is, Director, you put your counter snipers on a 312 roof, which is steeper than the 112. And by the way, the 112 is ADA compliant. You can build a ramp for a wheelchair on a 112 roof.
So if you remember, she said they didn't have people on the roof where that shooter was because it was sloped and there was safety concerns. But she had shooters on other roofs that had a much deeper slope, a much bigger slope. And that's what he's pointing out. And so there's no answer for that. Okay, here we go.
So these are nothing but pathetic excuses, and they make no sense, and they're a bunch of cow dung. All
That's
the law
right.
enforcement I've spoken with were like,
Nothing but pathetic excuses. They're not answers. And he calls them a bunch of cow dung. Bang.
9 days, are amazed that the AGR rooftop was not secure. You want to know why? Because it's dangerous. I have never had any long gun training in my life. I own an AR-15, and last time I shot it one time my whole life. It was 6 years ago. That is until Saturday, where we recreated the events in Savoy, Texas. We recreated what happened to Butler. I was lying prone on a slope roof at 130 yards at 6:30 at night. And I knew he had a scope. I didn't know what kind, red dot or magnified. So I shot 8 rounds from both. You know what the result was? 15 out of 16 kill shots. And the one I missed would have hit the president's ear. That's a 94% success rate. And that shooter was a better shot than me. It is a miracle President Trump wasn't killed. Corey Compagnore's life is over because that damn shooter made it on the roof. It wasn't the roof that was dangerous. It was a nut job on top of the roof. You know what else is dangerous? I believe your horrifying ineptitude and your lack of skilled leadership is a disgrace. Your obfuscating today is shameful. And you should be fired immediately and go back to guarding Doritos. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Ooh, nice burn at the end. Jerry said you should go back to guarding Doritos because she came from the PepsiCo company, which owns Doritos. You should go back to guarding Doritos. Burn!
Drop that mic.
Burn! Everything he said there was right. Because I haven't shot my gun in years. I went up on a roof, 94% hit rate from that distance with an AR-15. Wow. Okay, here we go. So now here's more. There's more to this. Watch this.
You keep referring to the FBI. When asked how many shell casings were on the roof, you referred to the FBI. When asked if there were explosives in the car, you referred to the FBI. When asked if Crooks was acting alone, you referred to the FBI. See a common theme here? I can go on and on. My question is, who at the FBI should I speak with? Wait for it. Wait for it.
The FBI is responsible for the criminal
Is there a
investigation.
name?
I'm not certain.
I'm not certain.
Who
All
at the
right, here we go.
FBI
I'm
is
not
running the
certain. I
investigation.
don't know. Let me ask a different.
This is going to get much worse. This is this might be the most mind-blowing interaction that I saw today. She had a lot of them, but it's going to get worse. She's going to ask her direct questions, and she is going to directly not answer them, just like that. Who should I talk to at the FBI? Oh, I don't know. What? Okay, here we go.
Question. Have you been in communication with the FBI?
Yes, I have.
With whom?
I speak with the director and the deputy director.
Okay. And what have they shared with you about this investigation? So I'll give you an opportunity to answer again. Did they share with you how many shell casings were on the roof?
They have shared with me the
Did
evidence
they
they've collected.
share with you how many shell casings were on the roof?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, they did. So the FBI told her how many shell casings they found on the roof. Watch the next question.
Okay. How many were there?
I would refer to the FBI for
How
their
many?
She won't tell her.
Okay. How many were there?
I would refer to the FBI for their
How
investigation
many were there?
and their information that they need to share in their investigation.
So they've shared the information with you. You just don't want to share the information with us, correct?
We have concurrent investigations that are going on.
So they have shared this information with you. You know the answer to the question. You just refuse to answer the question from the member of Congress who has subpoenaed you to be here. Is there a different answer to that question?
I was always willing to come here and testify before this oversight hearing.
Beautiful. Then let's
Wasn't
do
a-
that.
that was
Let's
necessary.
for once have your actions match your words. So you've been in communication with the FBI. You know the answers, and you refuse to tell us the answers. So I will ask you again. You know how many shell casings were on that roof. What is the answer to that question?
I think it's pertinent.
What is the answer to that question?
I think it's pertinent to talk to you about the information that the Secret Service has and that the Secret Service knows related.
I'm
to
asking
that.
you
Wow.
an answer to the question. If you're supposed
So this, she should change her name to Cheatle GPT because she answers a question like a shitty censored artificial intelligence program. This is the person in charge of the president's safety and the former. This is the person in charge of Secret Service. She can't answer a straight. So the FBI, did they tell you how many shell casings there were? Yes. How many were there? I'm not going to tell you. The whole point of you being here in front of Congress, you were subpoenaed, is to answer those questions. Why is it a secret? This is how she talks in front of a camera. In front of a camera. She talked to other senators off the camera, and they were infuriated by her. Imagine how, well, just like this.
to be
I think it's pertinent to talk to you about the information that the Secret Service has and that the Secret Service knows related.
I'm
to the
asking
events
you
on
an
that day.
answer to the question. If you're supposed to be in charge, if the buck stops with you, how come you can't share the answers? What are you covering up? What are you hiding, my friend?
I'm not covering anything else.
Then why can't you answer a simple question?
I would leave it to the criminal investigation to answer questions related to that.
What is this? Is this third grade? What kind of... So, you know what I say to that?
I would have to get back to you.
That is a no. You're full of shit today. You're just being completely dishonest.
She is full of shit today. Okay, guess what? Watch this. Even this woman is so despicable and such a liar that even AOC gets a kicker in the ass.
No.
Watch this.
Thrown over the area, period. Any part of the
this is
area.
different. I'm sorry. No, not yet. Watch this.
Again, I would have to go back and check the timeline of when that took place and when the event.
Why didn't you bring the timeline with you today to answer our questions?
I don't have all of the answers on the timelines based on the criminal investigation.
Were you not prepared today to answer our questions?
I am prepared to answer the questions based on the information and wanted to be able to provide.
Do you have a timeline do you have a timeline at all from any of the day?
I have a timeline that does not have specifics.
What? That's shocking. That is.
Do you hear the people in the gallery who are watching this hearing? They all start to laugh at her. I have a timeline that doesn't have specifics. What? Yeah, the timeline starts at like 2 p.m. and then it ends at 10 at night. But I don't have anything to fill it in with. I have a timeline. She really said that. And you can hear, if you listen, you can hear the people laughing in the background. They're not mic'd, but you can still hear them.
I have a timeline that does not have specifics.
That's shocking. That is absolutely unacceptable. That means you are a failure at your job. Thrown over the air.
So I'm told that Marjorie Taylor Greene is crazy by people like Jon Stewart and Bill Maher. But why is she the one asking the best questions? So yeah, now here comes AOC. So they laughed at her. They literally laughed at her. Okay, here we go. So here's AOC. Even AOC gets to kick her in the front.
You established earlier that the building upon which the shooter operated from was outside of that established perimeter, correct, for the Butler, Pennsylvania event?
It was outside of our secure perimeter, yes.
Now, that building was, I believe, 500. How far away was that building from the president?
It was approximately 200 yards.
200 yards. Now, the individual used an AR-15 in order to act out his assassination attempt. An AR-15 has a range of about 400 to 600 yards. My question is, why does the Secret Service perimeter, why is the Secret Service protective perimeter shorter than one of the most popular semi-automatic weapons in the United States?
There are a number of weapons out there with a number of ranges. Again, an advance was completed. The determination of the perimeter, I'm not going to speak to specifics, but there are a number of factors that are taken into account when we determine our perimeter. Some of it has to do with terrain, some of it has to do with buildings, some of it has to do with assets and resources that are available.
And so what I'm hearing is that a perimeter was not established outdoors in an outdoor venue that would prevent an AR-15, which is one of the most common weapons used in mass shootings, from being able to be within the range of Secret Service protection.
A perimeter was established, and even though there were buildings that were outside of that perimeter, it wasn't just that building, there were a number of buildings in the area, and there was overwatch that was created to help mitigate some of those buildings.
Am I back on the weed again, or did AOC ask a good question and make a salient point there? Boy, if AOC's giving her strong kicks to the current, you know that Secret Service lady is a patsy. And I bet that's why they won't let her step down right now. Because they need to keep a patsy in that job so somebody doesn't come in and actually find out what the hell happened. Wow. It is a sad day in Washington, D.C. when you have to stoop to using AOC to call somebody else out on their bullshit. It's like trying to stick two positive magnets together. And you know what I say to those answers that lady just gave?
I would have to
you know what I say?
That is a no. You're full of shit today. You're just being completely...
It gets worse. It keeps going. You think it's over? It's not over. Watch this.
You know what Stuart Knight did when he was in charge at the time of the Secret Service? You know what he did afterwards?
He remained on duty.
He resigned. And Stuart Knight was...
Did you hear what she said? So the guy who was in charge of the Secret Service when Ronald Reagan got shot, he resigned right away. That's why Khanna asked that question, because he knows the answer. He asked her, do you know what he did after President Reagan got shot? And did you hear what she said? Listen to what she says.
You know what Stuart Knight did when he was in charge at the time of the Secret Service? You know what he did afterwards?
He remained on duty.
No, he did not remain on duty. No, he resigned. He remained on duty. Why would she say that? Do you think he's asking that question so you could say he remained on? Why do you think he's asking that question? Even if you don't know the answer, you know why he's asking it, so you know what the answer must be, that he resigned. Why not just say, I don't know what he did? But you say he remained on duty. He didn't. He resigned.
You know what Stuart Knight did when he was in charge at the time of the Secret Service? You know what he did afterwards?
He remained on duty.
He resigned. And Stuart Knight was not a Democratic appointee or Republican appointee. Look, I'm not questioning your judgment. I just don't think this is partisan. If you have an assassination attempt on a president, a former president, or a candidate, you need to resign. That's what Stuart Knight did. He was a Republican appointee, and he took responsibility. And I think you need to reflect. This is not a question of you. It's a question of the American people. You cannot go leading a Secret Service agency when there is an assassination attempt on a presidential candidate. I would say that about anyone who is running. And so I guess my question to you is, what's the difference between your position and what Stuart Knight did?
What I will tell you, sir, is that I am dedicated to finding the answers to what happened. And like every Secret Service agent, we don't shirk our responsibilities. I will remain on and be responsible to the agency, to this committee, to the former president, and to the American public.
But is there a reason you wouldn't just do what Stuart Knight did after the Reagan assassination attempt?
I believe that I provided an answer.
There's nothing more that you have to say. I mean, do you really believe at this moment, given how divided the country is and the questions asked, that your service in this role is the best for the nation? I mean, I'm not saying you can't do public service again, you can't do something else again. Do you really genuinely in your heart believe that you being in this role is what's right for America at this moment?
You know what I
would
say
have
to
to get
that?
back to you.
That is a no. You're full of shit today.
So, hey, Khanna for the win on that one. But it's fun. As much fun as it is making fun of Miss DEI Dingbat. She's just a punching bag to take the heat off of Mayorkas, who's the head of the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security. Most of the Secret Service agents on duty that day were cutouts, were on loan from the Department of Homeland Security, and they aren't trained like real Secret Service people. It's because the Trump rally was considered a low security event. So historically, security stripping, which is what they did to Donald Trump, they stripped him of the proper security. They gave him these rejects from the Department of Homeland Security. So historically, security stripping is one of the CIA's most famous techniques for assassination. Then the Iran bullshit story was going to be used as a cover. I mean, that's what I'm guessing, but obviously we can't know for sure just because the CIA does this exact same thing over and over and over and over, and it's a well-established fact that that's what they do. Do I have one more? What do I have here?
Director Cheatle, can you please give me the names of the individuals who are in charge of your conduct for the rally?
So this woman asked a simple question. Give me the names of the people in charge of the security at that rally. It's a simple question, right?
Director Cheatle, can you please give me the names of the individuals who are in charge of your conduct for the rally?
I'm not going to release names.
Can you give me the titles? And how many individuals?
No,
Nothing?
we had a full advance team that was responsible for advancing
How many
the
people are
site.
the final approval authority?
There are a number of people
Can you
that
give me a
are
number?
engaged in approving
Can you
the
give me
plan.
a number?
No, I do not have
Okay.
a firm number.
Can you just confirm whether or not, I understand this is an open investigation, but in order to dispel conspiracy theories, have you guys been able to subpoena the shooter's Discord records, or has the FBI to your knowledge?
I believe that the FBI is working on those.
Okay. Is it factual to say that you have not ruled out that the shooter was working with other people or persons?
Again, the FBI is conducting the criminal investigation into
Can
the
you,
shooter.
at least in an effort to dispel conspiracy theories, can you confirm or deny that?
At this time, we do not have that there were any other people engaged.
So you believe he's acting alone?
I do.
Okay. Have you been made aware of multiple eyewitness reporting that there was a second shooter on a water tower?
I do not have any information related to any second shooter.
Okay. The reason I asked that is because according to testimony from multiple witnesses, they did report that. And again, to my understanding, there were over 40 sniper teams that were briefed by the Butler ESU. And I want to make sure that people are aware, if you're saying that there's not another shooter, that we are able to clear that information, because from this whole entire briefing, it doesn't seem like much information has been able to get out to the American people. So I'm trying to dispel rumors, as I'm sure you understand. Was it true that Secret Service was present at the Butler ESU briefing?
There was a briefing between the counter sniper teams
Was
that were working
Secret
on the
Service
ground.
present?
Yes, to my knowledge.
Okay, I want to read you a report from people that seem to be throwing you under the bus and stated that they were...
So she just said that they had a meeting with these sniper teams and all this stuff and the local, and she said the Secret Service was present. Well, according to the local people, they weren't.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to what she says.
attendance and that Secret Service was not in attendance at the security briefing, according to individual...
Secret Service was not at the security briefing. So she just lied. So she's lying under oath, and this is a cover-up.
with knowledge, to also include that the AGR building where the shooter Thomas Matthew Crooks was located was actually not a part of their security perimeter for that. So there was not secret.
So Secret Service said where that shooter was on top of the building, that was part of the local police's responsibility. They're saying, no, that effing wasn't. Not only was Secret Service not at the security briefing, we were not responsible for that building.
Service present. It seems as though that when you were asked earlier from Rep. Kristen Morthy about whether or not Secret Service was aware of a threat, you had said no, they were unaware of a threat. And yet, according to communications, again, from law enforcement that were in some of these group chats, they actually had reported that Secret Service was made aware of a threat at around 5:59 p.m. as a part of the command, including Secret Service, aware of messages and requests about information about the suspect's location. Can you please tell me if you have knowledge of that at all?
Again, I think we're conflating the difference between the term threat and suspicious.
But you guys did have knowledge at 5:59 p.m. according to those group chats, did you not?
Of a suspicious individual.
Okay. Chairman, in my opinion, according to some of the testimony today, I feel that you have perjured yourself in some instances. And so I'm going to ask for a full review of the transcripts by staff. And if you find that to be the case, I do ask that you bring perjury charges against the director. I will say this, it is very frustrating. And I've talked.
Just right out calling, you're perjuring yourself. And she is. She's lying. She's lying every which way to Sunday. And she's bad at it. I guess she doesn't have much practice because she came from Pepsi.
To my colleagues, and we've said it to your face, that you have been up here basically stonewalling our ability to get the answers to the American people. And what I will also say is that every single member of Congress does not feel safe with you in charge. You have heard that. And I think that we are all sitting ducks with you in directing the Secret Service currently. But more importantly, it sends a message to our adversaries that we are not protected. And we are one of the strongest countries in the world. So you have essentially made us a less safe country because of it. As a result of that, I'm asking you to formally step down. I share my same opinions as my Democrat colleagues. And I also think that your efforts to bring forward a full investigation and report in 60 days is unacceptable. And as a result of that, I'm going to do everything in my legislative toolkit to ensure that that happens sooner rather than later. And I'm sure that you know that we brought a vote on inherent contempt against Garland for essentially blocking a congressional investigation. And I don't think that you should be any different. So I will say that I am just completely disgusted by your performance today. And I understand that you're probably in a position where you're being told not to testify, which is why we had to subpoena you. I think that goes back to Garland. But again, that is part of the flushing that we need to get out of Washington. And I would be happy to assist in that process. Chairman, I yield the rest of my time.
Wow.
So again,
I would have to get back to you.
That is a no. You're full of shit today. You're
Okay. So there you go. That woman is a corrupt, and she's covering. So, my guess is Mayorkas was in on it, which is why he said, I have 100% confidence in her. As soon as she fumbled the Secret Service ball, worse than anybody's ever fumbled it since, I don't know, since Reagan, since JFK. The worst. And Mayorkas, I have 100% confidence in her. Why? Because she's going to cover for me because I set this up. That's what it seems like. That's what it seems like. This is definitely an inside job. And if those answers make you... Why would she give those kind of horrible answers if she wasn't covering up for something? Of course. And it's not just incompetence. It's not just incompetence. They did the security stripping. That was done. They surrounded Trump with morons who don't know what they're doing. They didn't put people on top of the buildings that should have been on top of them. And they gave ridiculous excuses. Oh, it's too much of a slope. Even though they had snipers on roofs that were way worse of a slope. Hey, I'll see you on tour in Las Vegas, Chicago, and Grand Rapids. In Chicago, it's stand-up and a live panel show. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and make sure you go to jimmydore.com.